So, do you work your program around your life or your life around your program? And this is primarily applicable to 12-step, but it also applies to religion or whatever program that you work most seriously. Yeah, I get it. It's definitely time for a new... oh, what the hell is this? New iPhone holder. Oh, man. Okay. So, if you're working your program around your life, then when there's something you want to do, bloody police were blocking my way. And there's something you want to do, you do that and you put your program second. Okay, so let's say you need to get to a 12-step meeting, but instead of doing that, you really want to watch the World Cup. So, man, my iPhone holder just doesn't get the job done anymore. I'm gonna have to lash out for that $25 model that you attach to your windshield. So I'm preparing to spend the big bucks to give the high quality content. So if you work your program around your life, if you want to go on vacation and just forget about your program, you go on vacation, you forget about your program. If there's part of your program that's kind of inconvenient for you, that it's not really a good fit, you don't like taking instructions, so you just skip that whole thing about having a sponsor. Okay, you work the program on your own. You don't really like to make yourself vulnerable to someone, and certainly don't want anyone telling you what to do. So you just skip out having a sponsor. Or your sponsor says, oh, for your first year of sobriety, you shouldn't date. But if you're working your program around your life, whoa, this iPhone holder really sucks. I was just pointing. So that's very typical in 12-step programs. Your sponsor will tell you don't date for the first year. So many people aren't really into that. So they ignore that advice. Anything that's inconvenient, you just ignore it. Wow, I'm not sure this is really a great angle for this stream, but we'll do the best we can. And I get that, because I enjoy my life as much as the next bloke, and working your program's often very inconvenient, and often there are really good reasons why you work your program around your life. So let's say you have one primary program, you have one 12-step program for what will kill you first. So let's say you're an alcoholic. So you may work your life around your AA program, but you're also in two other programs which aren't as likely to kill you very quickly. Say you're in a sex addiction program and Debtors Anonymous. Okay, so you have one primary program, and then the others you catch as you can. But unless you get the alcohol under control, unless you maintain sobriety with the alcohol, then your life is just highly likely to spin out of control at any time. But the debting and the sexting, that may not be as severe an addiction, because there are many layers of addiction. You can get off at a relatively high floor where you still have your wife, you still have your kids, you still have a car, you may even have a job. And then there's like the bottom row of addiction, where you're sleeping in the streets and you're eating out of dumpsters and you're blowing random dudes for Big Macs. Okay, that's like bottom level addiction. And then there's all sorts of levels of addiction in between. So if you get off in the bottom floor of a deadly addiction, then yeah, you got to put that first. You got to work your life around that program, or you may very well die. On the other hand, let's just say you're a bit of a shopaholic and you've run up $8,000 in credit card debt and you have a six-figure job. Okay, that's not life and death. Okay, or let's say your sex addiction program manifests, your sex addiction problem manifests in spending a little too much time in fantasy. You're not actually soliciting prostitutes, you're not actually looking at pornography, you're not actually going to strip clubs, you're not seducing married women, you're not doing anything illegal. Okay, so there, it's not as dramatic a life and death addiction. And if, say, you were engaged in illegal behavior, you're a flasher, you're a molester, then it's life and death. But as a bloke who's been in 5 12-step programs, I got to tell you, my natural inclination was convenient, because it didn't get off at the bottom floor on any of my addiction programs. I was never sleeping in the streets. I was never blowing dudes for veggie burgers. I was never engaged in illegal behavior. So I was getting off at a little higher floor. And so therefore it was tempting to, okay, I've got a choice now. It feels like I can either daven Mincha Ma'ariv, the afternoon and evening prayers, or I can hit a meeting. And so I could make a good reason, a good justification why I should go to synagogue instead of driving that 5 extra miles to a meeting. Or one program I worked for years without getting a sponsor. I just let the morning phone meeting sponsor me. Like every morning on the 12-step phone meeting, I'd hear a good point, a good idea, and okay, let me implement one thing from the phone meeting. And that worked really well. It gave me increased strength, increased power to do good things that I needed to do and to start to let go of some bad habits. But I don't think I made as fundamental and dramatic a change as I did when I got a sponsor and started working my life around my program. Because when you work your life around your program, you put your program first. So that may mean time recording, may mean tracking every dollar, every penny you spend, every penny you earn. May mean hitting a meeting every day, and you put that before the sporting event you want to go to, before your love life, say before volunteering for your synagogue. You put your sobriety first. So often you got a choice to make. Do you get up in the morning, do you go to Talmud class and pray, or do you go hit a morning 12-step meeting? You can't always do both. If you put your program before your life, sometimes you tell your boss, hey, I've got to call my sponsor, I've got to hit a meeting. Sometimes your work life may suffer a little bit so that you can maintain sobriety, because without sobriety, you're not going to be able to do your job well. So it's a matter of humility. Yeah, don't put the program before Luke streaming. Glib Medley is the role model for what I want to see in the chat. Like, Glib Medley is the master of the pithy remark. He's the master of insight. Glib Medley has a gift. So you should have pictures of Glib Medley up in your room if you ever want to become an ace YouTube chatter. I mean, that guy's content is quality. Quality, I tell you, is gold. But that was one of the hardest things about 12-step programs for me, is just the humility of putting this darn program before my inclinations, before my life, before my schedule, before things I wanted to do, movies I wanted to see, social events I wanted to go to, the religious rituals and classes and prayer that I wanted to attend. Just facing that when you've got an addiction, it means you got a guillotine just above your neck. And let's say you're an under-owner. Let's just say that you have stability boredom, that you get bored with stability. So you are addicted to creating unnecessary drama between you and your employers, between you and your clients, between you and your co-workers. That can spin your life out of control. And if it's severe enough, if the poverty is sharp enough, it put you into a downward spiral that may well cost you your life. Or perhaps you suffer from the symptom of exhaustion, where you work so hard, you take on all these responsibilities, and then as you're driving along, you're thinking, oh wow, it'd be so nice if I got into an accident right now so I could just get some rest, so I could just get out of this appointment. Like I've got too many obligations, and this would be like a face-saving way to fail. Like a lot of people with what feels like chronic illness, that's their face-saving way to fail, for their inability to connect normally with other people, for their inability to succeed at school or with their employment, with their career, to succeed socially and romantically. When they meet with nothing but failure in their real life, then it's very tempting to collapse into a state of helplessness. And you start feeling weak, and like chronic illness seems like a nice way out. So that temptation can lead to a downward spiral that can well kill you. It's an example of the poverty mindset, or a fear of success, or just simply a fear of being positively visible and showing the world your talents, because you don't want to be vulnerable, because you're being wounded. And so the natural inclination is to go hide. Natural inclination is to stay in the cave, and you don't want to show who you really are to the world because you're afraid that people will hurt you. So that doesn't sound like a big deal, but that kind of addiction will stifle your life, will put you into a downward spiral. And it reduces your ability to connect normally with other people. And almost everything good that happens to you happens through the medium of other people. So if you're hiding your gifts, you're afraid to be positively visible, you're cutting yourself off from the greatest source of joy and fulfillment and prosperity, which is your connections with other people. Perhaps you're just addicted to wasting your time. Perhaps you're addicted to not having clear goals. So you don't have goals, you don't have benchmarks to gauge your progress, so you don't know if you're working diligently to get somewhere, or you're just walking in place. You're not really making any progress towards your goals. That too can be an addiction to the poverty mindset. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.